Welcome to Hoyt's Bowhunting Whitetails. November 7th. It's about 6:30. 15 minutes after legal shooting time. No, it's probably a little later than that now. 6:45. It's my favorite day of the season. I had a lot of great hunts on November 7th over the years. And a lot of my friends have too, so there's a lot of good days during the rut, but I always celebrate November 7th as the best day. And we're sitting in what I would call my best spot. We're back up on that bidding point with a northwest wind blowing our scent down over the valley below. We had some action right off the bat, probably 15-20 minutes before legal shooting time. Carson got up in the tree and he was getting the camera ready and I was still on the ground. He could see a doe and 2 bucks coming our way, and I think the wind kind of swirled up here. This country is notorious for winds that just aren't very stable. I think she probably picked us up and turned off course. But either way, it wasn't going to work out for us, because even if she'd kept coming, she'd have been right in our lap, and that wouldn't have been any good either. But the buck that was following her, one of the two, Carson thought was a very definite shooter. So that's encouraging. He didn't spook. He was over there, he said, making a scrape and thrashing a tree. Pretty nice buck, huh?
Yeah, it was, it was pretty dark, but I could tell he was a very nice deer, and it looked like he got mad at the buck that was behind him and just eventually worked down that ridge, so we'll see.
Yeah, if that doe was hot, we're probably done on that deer. But if she was hot, that might bring others in, because she's not likely to come back if she did pick up our scent swirling. It's another beautiful morning. But this wind that's blowing right now, I wish it would have been blowing an hour ago. It's about a 10-mile-an-hour wind. I'd say when we climbed up in here, it was pretty darn still. That's not a climb for people my age. That was a lot of work. It's a long ways up here. But we're here and we're not going to leave. We're staying until we get a buck or we run out of daylight.
See if he smells us.
We just ate our lunch, but neither Carson nor I were actually hungry. We were just so bored. We didn't have anything else to do, so we entertained ourselves by eating pretzels one at a time and chewing our food 10 times before swallowing. Whew, this is a rough one. Every hour I say, there's no way I can make 7 more hours. There's no way I can make 6 more hours. Now I'm saying there's no way I can make 5 more hours. But the number keeps going down, so I must be making it somehow. We've seen that one buck come up the hill and smell where we walked in. Carson thinks that maybe it was the buck that was trailing that big one that was following the doe at first light this morning. You know, the reality of it is, and you got to keep perspective, the whole season can change in 1 minute. You know, we're not hunting a herd of deer. We don't have to see 20 deer. We just need to see one, the right one. So, you know, granted, if there's a lot of deer, there's probably a lot more right ones. But we do think that we're in a good spot here. We just need luck. So we got 5 more hours to wait for luck. Might work.
$2.50.
So we've got 2 hours and 20 minutes, probably.
Yep.
Roughly 2 hours and 30. I want to do a really quick update on the 2 bucks that going into the season I thought that I'd be hunting. And I'm not hunting them. It was the Jordan buck, which a lot of people followed last year. We hunted that deer almost to obsession. That was, you know, I vowed that I wouldn't do that again this year, that we would have other targets to go after. And we do. We've got some nice bucks here that we'd be happy to shoot. But then there was also a pretty cool looking older, heavy antler, non-typical looking buck. Carson found the sheds off him too. We got the sheds off both. So they were here until March sometime. I thought for sure these bucks would be here this year. And if they had been, boy, they'd be something to see, I believe. I think they would have both been real bruisers. I mean, monsters. But they're not here. At least we don't think they are. I mean, they haven't shown up. We haven't seen them, and they haven't been on any of the cameras. But we're going to continue to hunt as if they are here by going into the places that were more their common ranges last fall. And hopefully either they're there and their home ranges have condensed and gotten smaller, which is possible, or they're going to move in, and that's also possible. And it's entirely possible that they've moved, they've left, they won't come back, or they're dead. But that's been the frustration more than anything else. You know, everybody's saying, well, you're not seeing enough deer. No, we're not seeing enough deer. And that's true. And we'll have to figure out how to remedy that. But my biggest disappointment is the fact that these 2 really good bucks that we were excited about just aren't here. And it's not even so much that you want to shoot them, although, I mean, that would be our goal. We really want to see what they look like. It's so cool to follow these deer from year to year, especially once they get a little bit older where they have some character in their antlers. It's fun to follow them from year to year. We also had a really cool 20-point non-typical on here earlier in the year. He was all over the place. I'd get him on 4 or 5 cameras every night. Deer was covering ground every place. It's been probably 10 days or almost 2 weeks. This deer is a no-show. I think he's dead. He was a deer that we've been watching for a couple of years too. So that's been the most frustrating part, is we just want to see what these bucks can turn into. But they've got to be here. They've got to stay. And why aren't they? I mean, we're creating the perfect place for these bucks. That's why we're doing it. We're trying to make it so that some of these older deer just want to stay here. So we get a chance to watch them and hunt them for multiple years. You know, it could change. And we're hoping that it does, but that's just a quick update. So if you're kind of wondering how come these guys are still out there plodding away and they haven't gone off to hunt someplace else, or heck, hunted public land. I mean, the public land is better right now than this farm. It really is. I'm not even exaggerating. Carson, you got a picture of a really nice buck on public land.
Yeah, he's been showing up.
Daylight active,
Yeah.
170-inch public land buck that we're not going to hunt. But that's why. We're hoping that these two deer eventually at least show up. We're down to the last hour, but it's getting really dark fast because of the kind of gloomy sky. I think our forecast is calling for rains tomorrow. Is that right?
Yeah, kind of nasty weather.
Yeah. Jordan's going to the Iowa-Oregon football game, and she is very much cold-blooded, so that's going to be interesting. I told her to put on all of her coat of silence hunting clothes and show up in that. I think anything to stay warm. Well, the goofy rack buck made his third appearance in the last 4 or 5 days. This wind is supposed to have been out of the northwest, which would take it over my right shoulder in this direction. But once in a while it gusts, and then it kicks around back in these areas. And gosh, that's the hard part about this country, is when the wind gusts, it swirls all over. And in addition to that, I think it's switching to more out of the straight north. Bottom line is he picked us up down there. But anything in front of us where we expect them to be, we should be fine. It just seems like today everything's been down the hill behind us. If anything else comes out here tonight, which I fully expect, I would be very surprised if we see nothing else in this last hour. We're going to tag it on here, but as dark as it's getting, I'm going to go ahead and close it now before the video gets too nasty. And we'll resume the action tomorrow. We're gonna shoot something pretty soon. I mean, it's not like we're not trying to, but eventually our luck is going to fall into place. There's no reason why we shouldn't be getting closer to some of these bucks. Well, we appreciate you joining us, and we'll see you right back here again tomorrow for the next episode of Hoyt's Bowhunting Whitetails. Remember to always dream big. Big like Goofy.
Two does.
Where are they?
Right to the right of that big oak.
Okay.